Hello, Night Nation. I'm Trylko from the Sons of UCF, joined by Eric Lopez of the Black and Gold Banneret. Welcome to Around the Kingdom. Elo, hello.
Hello, Trace. Coming up on the fastest UCF show around. The UCF back in the win column in October. What went right? And what does this mean for the Knights moving forward? How do you feel Scott Frost has done in year one to this point? Plus, who does Trace have more faith in? UCF men's soccer or Orlando City? We'll find out coming up on this edition of Around the Kingdom.
Before we get going with all of that, Elo, let us welcome in the third member of our team. He is Adam Eaton from the Sons of UCF. Keeps an eye on the clock, keeps us on our toes. Adam, welcome.
Gentlemen, I have a question for you. I saw that UCF was featured on Big 12 Undercover, where they kind of follow the program around. When are we going to get Around the Kingdom behind the scenes? Is there a show? Is TNT filming you two right now? Because I think we need to see that.
Does anybody want to see that? Thank you, Adam. Check back with you in a little bit. Elo, you mentioned it off the top. The streak is snapped. The Knights get a win in the Big 12. They defeat West Virginia 45-13 on Saturday. What was your big takeaway? Why did the Knights win this one?
Because West Virginia is like skeletons. They're really bad, Trace. If people think we got problem, it's nothing compared to what they have in problem-wise. I mean, they are banged up. But I will say this. I would argue that second half might be the best half UCF's played all year. On both sides of the ball, offense, defense, just dominant defensively, offensively, getting the ball. Hey, receivers making plays, and really took care of business and took the game by the throat in the second half against West Virginia. And I think that's, to me, a big positive sign for this team here at 4-3 to get a dominant home win and feel good about themselves after that game.
A couple of things happened in this game, Elo, that were key. You mentioned it, step on them. They pulled away from a team. They started off strong in the third quarter. Offensive possession with a touchdown. Defensive score. That had been lacking for several games. Defense coming up with a turnover. They scored off of this one. Strong defensive pressure throughout the game. So it adds up to a Knights victory. A game we all had circled as a probable win for UCF, and UCF took care of business at home.
No doubt. Big win for them. You got to feel good about them and that performance. But Trace, do you really feel good about that performance? Was UCF really that good, or was West Virginia really, come on, that bad?
I tend to think it's the latter, Elo. West Virginia, not a good team. It is an interesting benchmark for UCF, having now beaten North Carolina pretty handily as well. West Virginia, a couple of programs, including UCF, that have turned over their rosters. And hey, you know what? UCF served court at home, defeated both. And I do think this is a lot more to do with West Virginia not being good at all. Multiple quarterbacks for them, none good. They just couldn't do anything right.
But it is worth pointing out, Rich Rodriguez, year one, back at West Virginia like Scott Frost is. And we could honestly say, wouldn't you say, Trace, that Scott Frost right now is ahead of Mr. Rodriguez in year one of their respective returns?
Yeah, I mean, the head-to-head battle right there, and certainly the results in other games. UCF hasn't been embarrassed, hasn't really been blown out, right? I'm not saying they could have won or should have won maybe some of these games. Maybe Kansas could have been played out a little bit differently, but they've been in games, and that's not been the case for West Virginia.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that.
Return of Taven Jackson at quarterback after learning, of course, midweek Cam Fancher on the injury report out. Broken ribs sustained in Cincinnati. I mean, he was involved in every play, running back and quarterback, right, in that one. And what's your confidence, Elo, in this quarterback room going forward now down the stretch?
Well, I'm confident in the fact that Jackson is your starting quarterback. And I would argue, and again, I know you and I disagreed on this a few episodes ago, but I think Jackson should have been the starter since opening night. And to me, it's about Jackson and his development. I thought he played pretty well. I think he's getting better. And if you're UCF, you need to find out if he's the future for you. Is he your starter in 2026 or not? So I feel pretty better about it, but I still have questions because, let's see how they do that against a defense that's not banged up and, probably broken.
Well, the fans are fixated on whether this team can go to a bowl game after 4-8 season last year under Gus Malzahn. And I'm thinking internally at UCF, it is a little bit of what you said, a lot of what you said there, trying to figure out who they're going to keep on this roster, who they want to pay to remain a part of this, and who they're going to build with. Frost has been talking about trying to see who to go forward with, right? First year, trying things and trying players. It's also a time when they're going to decide who to keep.
Of course, a big key of the receiving success is their weapons around it with wide receivers who showed they made some plays against West Virginia, plays that they hadn't made in perhaps recent games. Trace, do you believe in the wideouts that UCF has now?
Chris Dahmer can't do it again and then do it again. So, no, I'm glad to see him step up. 2 good touchdowns. I like it. Taven Jackson spreads the ball around. What was it? 12 different guys catching passes. They still are missing that dominant wide receiver, and maybe that person will emerge. Do I have confidence in the overall group? Kinda, sorta. I think they are a lot of what we've seen over the course of this season. I think they're missing a big play guy.
Dahmer had 2 touchdowns in that game. How is he not on one of our fantasy teams? What happened?
We'll ask Adam that in a few minutes, Elo.
Just saying, that's a touchdown really everybody could use right now in that regard. All right. I mentioned the
You believe in them?
now.
So do you believe in the wide receivers?
I do. I think somebody's stepping up. You got to give them some reps. They're stepping up. I agree. I think they are.
All right. Well,
I'm not saying I'm not putting them in the Hall of Fame. I don't think they're Mike Sims Walker level yet.
Yeah. Let's flip to the other side of the ball, Elo. Defense with a pretty good game. Is this defense good or good against bad teams? Is it the schedule or has Alex Grinch put together something?
I think there might be a combination. Look, Rich has done a heck of a job. This has probably been defensively, they're playing well as maybe in years. But I will say this. Other than Jalen Daniels at Kansas, who's been the second best quarterback that UCF has seen defensively? Can you name them there, Trace? You got Carolina and that stiff Gio Lopez.
No, not Carolina. Kansas State. Kansas State's problem.
You like Avery? Okay.
Well, Sorsby was. They contained Sorsby pretty well. He may be the better quarterback, but he didn't have as good a game. They just didn't have answers for Kansas State.
I don't think they're like, NFL first round quarterback types there. I mean, we'll see. But I do think I'm curious to see how they handle Baylor in the next game because they got Robertson at quarterback there in Waco. That will give me some ideas there. Not to mention you got BYU and Texas Tech on the back load of the schedule. But listen, credit where credit is due. We've seen defenses, haven't we, Trace, where it didn't matter who the quarterback was. This defense was going to get lit up. And we're not even talking about the run defense. They have done a nice job there, too, including West Virginia, who's one-dimensional and wanted to run the ball on. So that's good. Hey, Trace, who hired Alex Grinch?
That's Scott Frost.
What do you know? Looks like he's off to a good start in his hiring, 4-3 in his first year. How would you grade him and the coaching staff?
Yeah, I thought about this, Elo. I thought about it in a flip way. I thought, who would you get rid of at season's end? And I don't think you get rid of anybody. And now people could leave on their own, but I don't think you terminate anybody. I'd say B-. I knock them down for some decisions, like, 4th and 1 from your own 39 that gave West Virginia a short field. I think there have been some calls that Scott Frost wishes he could have, but that's every coach. I think overall they've been pretty solid. And I think they were maligned by some pundits who thought he had gotten some people with reclamation projects attached to him. I think he's put together a pretty solid staff. I wouldn't replace anybody at this point.
I would go B, strong B, maybe even borderline, A, 90. I got to tell you something. And we'll have to do this maybe at the end of the season. Maybe Adam could do this. You guys could do this. I feel like this staff has nailed more guys in the portal than we anticipated. Like there's a lot of guys contributing. Like, wow, they may have hit this guy. I'm not saying they're like all-American hits, but they've hit enough to be competitive. I would argue they've hit more in this transfer portal than Gus did his last 2 years combined, especially on the defensive side of the ball. I think they're doing fine. And I think if you're and again, for all the critics that say, Scott Frost has only had one winning season, all this stuff, there's a lot of coaches like Luke Fickell in particular that are struggling. In other places, there's a couple coaches in the state here that are struggling. I think Scott's done a pretty darn good job, all things considered, in year one.
Well, I think that also, Elo, portends a little of their strategy, that maybe they're going to put money on known quantities versus investing heavily in fickle high school kids. So, where UCF right now is down in your star ratings for high school players, maybe the smart money is in investing in the transfer portal.
All the people in recruiting, the outlets, with all due respect, they are a problem in the sport. Too many people take that stuff too seriously and think it's the end all be all. Because you know what? What about developing those guys? That's the key. Can you develop them? I don't care. Listen, Florida and the Florida States get 4 stars all the time. How they're doing, Trace?
Yeah, what
How
are they
doing these
what are they doing to develop them?
That's all I'm
All right,
saying.
Elo. At 4-3, we've talked about Alex Grinch. We talked about the offense coming along. What is the identity of this team? That's a question that gets asked from time to time in press conferences. What do you think the identity is of this Knights team at 4-3, first year under Scott Frost?
I think they're a defensive team first, which, by the way, when's the last time we've said that about a UCF team, Trace? Number one, a team that's going to play you 60 minutes. Maybe not, they're going to be set the world on fire for 60 minutes. No, but they play through the whistle, don't they, Trace? Like even the Cincinnati, all the games you've been to, at any moment, did you feel like, oh, this team is just done? They've coasted. They're done. No, they haven't. They played through the whistle. They played through the end against Cincinnati. It's a team that's bought in at the time of this recording. Have you heard of anybody leaving?
No.
And we were there. We both were there in the pressers. Those guys buy into what is going on there, and they're determined to have a strong finish here in the second half of the year.
I think you hit on it. I feel like they're bought in, and that can play a little bit into culture and UCF family and all of those things. But we're a year removed from a lot of guys, pulling red shirts and saying they're done and leaving, and that has not been the case so far.
Would you agree? Way more bought in this year than last year.
Yeah, way more bought in. And now they make some mistakes. They're not very good on third down. They create a lot of mistakes in terms of penalties. I'm not sure about the run blocking, but they tackle hard. And you said it, they play through the whistle. I think they've been fundamentally pretty sound, notwithstanding those mistakes. But I think they are playing hard. And I think that's why the fan base rallying around them a little bit. You like the effort that you see.
Let's hope. Of course, coming off maybe their best game of the season. They got a bye week. Trace, do you like this bye week at this time, or do you think they should? You wish they would carry this momentum into the next game?
Nah, I'm fine with this bye week. I asked Taven Jackson post game if the bye week came at a good time, and he smiled, especially a guy that's been pretty dinged up over the first half of the season. He said it was very welcome. Now they've got some guys that bye week isn't going to save them from season-ending injuries. Who we see, Sincere Edwards, now gone for the season, some other guys. So I think it does come at a good time. I don't like that earlier bye week as much as I like it at this time.
I wish, actually, in a weird way, I actually feel like I wish they would have this bye week maybe a week later. I don't like the fact coming after the bye, you go to Baylor, then you've got a short week against Houston. All of a sudden, that is a rough 2 games, Trace, in a matter of days. That worries me a little bit. So I wish they would have had the bye maybe split between the 2 games. I know that's kind of hindsight stuff because nobody would have predicted that before the season. The positive is they are a little banged up. Maybe you're healthier in the quarterback room in case something happens to Jackson. You actually have options that's not Davi Belfour. Although, hey, Davi Belfour maybe made a case to be QB2, huh?
No,
well,
he's not done enough to make any case for QB2. He's just healthier than QBs 3 and 4. So we'll say this, Elo, Knights perform well coming out of the bye week, and that wasn't the same case for Gus Malzahn era, right? So I'd rather have time to prepare for Baylor. Perhaps their best chance is bringing a road win in a week, as you mentioned, with Baylor and Houston. You got to get one of them. Maybe Baylor's the better opportunity at that. All right, time to bring in Adam. Time for a little silliness, everybody's favorite segment.
Everyone loves this one. Eric, I'll start this with you. We're doing a little game here. I'm going to give you an option. You tell me if this is a big deal, little deal, or no deal. So I'll give you a topic. Tell me big deal, little deal, or no deal. Here's the first one. Jaden Nixon, 6 rushing touchdowns. Miles Montgomery, 3 rushing touchdowns. However, Miles Montgomery has 100 carries to Jaden Nixon's 32. So Jaden Nixon only having 32 touches. Big deal, little deal, or no deal?
Big deal. Should touch the ball more.
I would say big deal from a fantasy standpoint, Adam. That's helped you out. You had him in the two pick.
This whole fantasy team is built on Jaden Nixon.
It really is. All right, Elo, next one for you. UCF basketball traveling to Duke to play an exhibition Tuesday night. The Brotherhood run, Johnny Dawkins back to Duke. UCF playing at Duke, Elo. Big deal, little deal, or no deal?
Evidently, it's a big deal. Everybody's asking me about where to find this game. Trace apparently outed me on live, saying, Eric Edwards saying, hey, Trace says you know where to get the game. How do I do it? Like, what? Like, huh?
You do, though. You sent me the instructions on how to find it.
It's ACC Network Extra. Go to your computer. You see ACC Network Extra pop up on Tuesday. You click on it. Use your cable login, and you're good to go. If you don't have cable, you're screwed. You're on your own. Figure it out. By the way, I think there's Mark Daniels. I think there's going to be radio broadcast for this. This might be the biggest week in the history of UCF basketball and exhibitions at Duke, and then LSU coming here. Are you kidding me? What are we doing in this world? The preseason, people fired up for it, Trace. But that being said, I'll be watching.
Yeah, a huge deal. A nice situation for Johnny Dawkins to go back to Duke, and
By the way,
it's better than those.
Yeah.
It's better than those closed door exhibitions, Elo, where we don't even get results. These will at least be televised somewhere.
By the way, let's hope everybody's healthy at the end of these games. We don't need a Jalen Seller situation from last year. By the way, those of you.
How's he doing, by the way? Did we get an injury update on Jalen Seller?
Efforting.
Anybody that doesn't like the Cameron Crazies, by the way, you're not a college basketball fan. So if you're critical of the facilities over there, you're not a college. You just expose yourself as not a college basketball fan. Moving on.
All right, moving on. Trace, I'll start this with you. UCF's defense is ranked in the top 20 in two main categories, both scoring, defense, and yards allowed. UCF being a top 20 defense, Trace, is this a little deal, big deal, or no deal?
Big deal. I think all of you set us up with big deal on all of these things. I think the defense has carried him, kept him in games, and those that need to apologize to Alex Grinch. I was not one piling on him. I think he's done a good job in this first year, maybe with some holdovers from Gus Malzahn era.
Did you apologize to him at a weekly presser yet?
No,
Have you talked to him?
No, I never maligned him in the offseason, so I'm not going to apologize.
Somebody should in behalf of everybody.
That's somebody else's job on behalf of everybody.
I'll take care of that one.
I'll say little deal in that. Again, some of the competition he's benefited from the schedule. It's a big deal, though, for Alex Grinch, right? Like, he might become a hot name. You hope that he does not get too hot of a name. And now UCF's got to worry about losing him. But, yeah, that's pretty impressive. I mean, what is the last time we've said UCF top 20 defense? I think 16, maybe 19. Adam will look it up later, maybe, or you guys can figure it out on Suns Live later this week. But, that's actually, I'm going to change my mind. It's a big deal. What are we talking about? Compared to the last defenses, the last couple of years, that is a big deal.
All right, last one for you, Elo. UCF, obviously, 4 wins right now. 3 of the next 5 UCF games are on the road, Elo. Is that a big deal, a little deal, or no deal as they try to get to that 6-win mark?
It's a little deal. The bigger deal is that you might arguably be playing the 2 best teams in the Big 12 in that stretch. On the road. Oh, boy. So your margin for error to get to that magical 6 wins you guys want to get could be a little small, but I think this team has played. Wait, Trace, what do you think? Don't you think this team is capable of playing a good road game at Baylor with this defense?
Yeah, except the law of averages kicks in at some point that they may let down, and that's why you need a healthier offense to carry you. Maybe a shootout at some point.
Hey, some good news, though. Maybe Texas Tech fans will help UCF's offense by keep throwing, stuff on the field and get penalized 15 yards because they refuse to stop throwing tortillas.
Or some rogue UCF fans wearing Texas Tech gear.
Really? Well,
hey, I'm not suggesting anything. Adam, stick around now. We mentioned fantasy football. I feel burned when Jaden scores and Miles doesn't.
I kind of enjoy it myself, Trace. Here is the Week 8 standings. Trace Trylko, 17 points this week. 10.5 by Nigel Lee Kelly. He was your leading scorer. Eric Lopez with 15 points this week. Cole Kozlowski, 11.5. Your leading scorer, Eric Lopez. Adam Eaton put up a measly 31.5.
Whoa!
Led by 17 from my good friend Jade Nixon and 7.5 from Malachi Lawrence. So season statistics are as follows. Eric Lopez continues his third place run, 95.5 points for Eric Lopez. A switch, Trace Trylko back to second place, 124 points. Adam back to first place, 131.5. So Eric Lopez got some work to do. Not a lot of time left. If only somebody had Chris Mercant.
I was going to say, when can I get him?
Well, after how many games has this been?
After week 8, after the Baylor game, we do the final waiver wire pickup.
Week 8. Unbelievable. Week 8. What do I got to
Thank you, Adam.
Adam, by the way, congrats to Adam, who had UCF over West Virginia in the schedule draft. Trace, what does that mean?
I don't know. It just means that Adam got the win. It means Adam, I think, finishes 2-2. You still haven't gotten a game on the board yet.
Sure haven't. Eventually
No.
I will. Maybe.
Yeah, but
Get on
all right, let's talk props, Elo. You had the over under 18
Yeah,
and a half
congrats.
points on penalties. I thought it'd be
Yeah,
16. You
won
took
that.
the over. It was
Yeah, you
12,
won easily.
Elo.
Yeah,
You
won
did
easily.
you did make that up on the fly. You put no thought
Yeah.
into that. That was a pretty good one. By the way, UCF with 7 penalties. They are what they are at this point, right? I mean, down from 10 to 7, it's still a lot.
Yeah, I always laugh when coaches like, we got to get better. We'll work on that. Like, okay, but it never, whatever. It stays the same. But yes, Adam stole my prop bet. He did not this week, so I feel very good. So I got not one. I got one special prop bet for you, Trace Trylko, because Wednesday night's a big night, my friend. UCF men's soccer hosting James Madison in Sunbelt action Wednesday night, 7 o'clock at UCF. But an hour and a half after that, your beloved Orlando City coming off a debacle this weekend on the road, season on the line, wild card game at Chicago, 8:30 on Wednesday night. I know you're going to be watching both, so here's the prop bet, Trace. Who you got? UCF men's soccer's goal scored plus saves from Juan V. Munoz, or you got Orlando City goals plus saves from Orlando City's goalie, which his name is
Pedro Galese. UCF. Go with UCF all the way. They're limping into the playoffs. Orlando City. Very injured. They're a mess.
But that means more saves. I'm going to take City.
It means more goals allowed. It doesn't necessarily mean more saves.
Wow, very optimistic.
They lost 4-2 the other night. Come on, Elo.
Maybe they were tanking for like the playoffs. It counts now. It's for real this time. Anyway, we're ready around the Big 12. Texas Tech goes down for the first time, drops to Arizona State up in Tempe. BYU wins the Holy War. So, Trace, what's your top 4 right now this week in the Big 12?
All right, Elo. I don't think I shuffled much here. I still don't believe in Cincinnati and Houston. I've got Iowa State 4. I know they've stumbled a little bit. They've been injured. 3, Arizona State. They get the big win over Texas Tech. Texas Tech 2. BYU solid number 1.
Wow. That is so you've got Iowa State.
Yeah, because I don't believe in Cincinnati and Houston.
All right. That's wild to me. All right. So I'm going to go with Arizona State. I agree with you at 4. I'm going to go Arizona State at 4. I'm going to go Cincinnati 3.
I have them at 3.
I got Cincinnati at 3.
Why do you believe in Cincinnati so much?
Well, they haven't lost. And you know what? Their offense is balanced. I like their offensive line. So I'll go with them at 3. I'm not picking for the Big 12 title, but
I think they have Baylor this week, Elo.
They do. I got BYU at 2, winning the Holy War. I'm sticking with Texas Tech number 1, just because they were without their starting quarterback. I think that's a one-off. I would still take Texas Tech. I still am not changing. Texas Tech, BYU, Big 12 title game.
I still got Texas Tech, BYU. Multi-bid league. That's a question we're asking here down the stretch.
Not a good weekend for the Big 12 from that standpoint. They're beating each other up. And remember, BYU, Texas Tech play.
Why are they the only league that's allowed to beat each other up and pay a penalty for it, and the other leagues aren't?
Because they don't beat anybody outside their own league.
Nah, I don't think that's fair. I mean, they
give me the best quality win.
Well, you're hitting me with that. I'd have to study that.
I'll give you until all right. Next around the kingdom, or maybe overtime. Give me the best win the Big 12 has outside the league. That's your assignment.
Okay. All right. I'll work on that for you, Elo. All right. UCF now 1-3 in the Big 12, Elo. Do you have them in the middle tier? Which tier do you have them in, or you have them in that bottom 4?
I've got them right there with Colorado fighting to get out of that bottom tier, but I'm going to still keep them in the bottom tier. I'm not sold on the offense. Clearly, West Virginia, Oklahoma State, I think we would agree, are the 2 worst teams. I do think UCF is better than Arizona. I know Arizona got off to a good start, but I think Arizona is coming to earth a little bit. So I think
they're 1-3 in the Big 12.
Correct. So I think their debate is, do you think UCF's better than Colorado? I know you follow Colorado with your family ties there. What do you think? Do you think UCF's better than Colorado this year?
I think they would give them a good game this year. I mean, they're not going to face each other, so we're not going to know. But when you look at who UCF has lost to, they're ahead of them in the standings, right? Cincinnati, Kansas, Kansas State. So they've beaten teams below them. They've lost to the teams above them. And when you're 12th, 13th, a lot of teams are above you. So can they beat Houston? Can they beat Baylor? We've already talked about not believing that they can beat Texas Tech or BYU. So I think they are where they're supposed to be right now until they beat somebody ahead of them, and then they'll move up in the standings. And they haven't shown that they can do that yet.
I would have Colorado ahead because remember, Colorado beat who was it they beat? I think they beat Iowa State, didn't they? That was a quality win in the conference. I think that was their one conference win where they pulled the upset. So I might give them the edge there. I think UCF's got a shot to be in that 10-11 spot, which, let's be honest, Trace, if the conference and the coaches had some guts and actually did a preseason poll, UCF probably would have picked 14.
No.
Yes, polls like this poll. Our poll
Preseason
is
poll. Dumb. We've talked about
please.
Dumb.
No, it's not. It creates talk conversations. Otherwise, why would I care about your sport?
It inflates these schools unnecessarily.
You're deflecting my point here. That's not the point I'm trying to make here. My point is, had they done that, don't you agree that UCF would have probably been picked in the 14 to 16 range?
Yes. So they're a little bit better than that.
Exactly. That's all I'm saying.
Okay. I don't know what we just agreed to.
Except, yeah, I don't know what we agreed on, except that you obviously hate polls because you hate media content, evidently.
Yeah, I hate the polls.
Hey, not a good time to be a Gator or no, evidently. Billy Napier, it's been nice knowing you. He got fired on Sunday after a close win against Mississippi State. Somehow Mike Norvell is still employed despite losing to an abysmal Stanford team, but clock's ticking on him. What do you make of this, Trace, and how it impacts perhaps UCF here potentially with 2 openings possibly here in the Sunshine State with the Florida and Florida State by the end of the year?
I agree with Adam Eaton on Sons Today. Chaos. Whenever there's chaos in the sport with coaches fired, and they're being fired all across the country now, transfer portal wide open, players moving around, I think that benefits UCF, right? UCF's front office studying who's on all of those rosters that have fired coaches. So I think it benefits, and instability in the state, right? It's already a competitive environment for the transfer portal and for high school recruiting. More chaos, Elo.
Oh, I will play the devil's advocate here. My concern is, what if those schools actually get the hire right for a change? What if they get it right? Like, were you scared of Billy Napier? I wasn't. Were you scared of Mike Norvell? No.
No, not from his Memphis days.
Correct. But what if they actually hit the right hire and they take off? That's not good for UCF, in my opinion.
It's a lot of ifs.
We're all in the same conference.
So you'd rather just keep Napier and Norvell because you have known quantities.
From a UCF standpoint, absolutely. I think we would surpass it. By the way, I think the AD at FSU could be in trouble. Apparently, he wants to stick to this revenue share, and the coaches and people over there are like, are you kidding me? Really? So there could be a lot of changes going on in Tallahassee as well. So, it's amazing.
All right, Elo, let's combine men's soccer, volleyball, women's soccer, big takeaways for the week. They're still remaining competitive from an RPI standpoint, still have opportunities here to get into the NCAA tournament, especially women's soccer.
Yeah, but the women's soccer, the draw against Houston on Sunday really hurt, dropped them to 38 in the RPI. They got Baylor, top 10 team in the country, coming in Thursday at home. They got BYU's an NCAA tournament team at Texas Tech. UCF has got to produce some results here. Probably a win and a draw gets them into the NCAAs. If they go winless here, Trace, in this 3-match streak, let's say they go 0-1-2 or 0-2,
which isn't out of the realm of possibilities because they've been doing a lot of drawing this year.
They might play themselves into the bubble and needing a results in the Big 12 tournament if they make the Big 12 tournament. Volleyball takes a loss to 4-6 to Arizona, drops them into the 50s. And then men's soccer with a draw at ODU, they're in the low 50s. There are no room for error for men's soccer. They must get wins and get that percentage.
Men's soccer and volleyball are running out of mistake opportunities. I still favor men's soccer down the stretch. All right, time to bring back in Adam. Adam, what did we get right? What did we get wrong?
Oh, Tris, I'm glad you asked. Here's what I can tell you. You guys talked about West Virginia. They actually beat Pitt earlier in the year, by the way. So that's one of their signature wins, 31-24. We talked about quarterbacks all season long. Brock Hansel gets some run in this game, guys. That means 5 quarterbacks played for UCF, which means the overheads. Talked about receivers. Dwayne Thomas leads the team with 30 receptions. 15 guys, though, have caught a pass this year for UCF. Jalen Sellers appears to be healthy. I have a video of him on the internet dunking in an exhibition game, Providence versus Pittsburgh. And you're talking about the signature wins in the Big 12 this year. TCU and Baylor both beat SMU. Iowa State beat Iowa. That's about all I got for you, unfortunately.
All right. Thank you, Adam. One more thing before we go. Elo, men's soccer. It's an easy win. Space Game Magic, right? Men's soccer to don its Space Game uniforms against James Madison on Wednesday. You'll find Around the Kingdom on the Sons of UCF's YouTube channel and wherever you get all of your audio feed on the Sons podcast feed. For Eric Lopez and Adam Eaton, I'm Trylko. Thanks, everyone, for joining us for this week's Around the Kingdom.